When Donald Trump stunned the world on Election Day, some knew it also signaled a transformation in the U.S.-Israeli relationship.
Night and day, I think it will be dramatic and it'll be immediate. There's no doubt in my mind.
Former Governor Mike Huckabee sees a big difference over the last 8 years.
I'm very optimistic about these next few years. I think it's going to mark a dramatically improved relationship between Israel and the United States.
The one thing that we can be very confident about with Donald J. Trump is he's a man of change.
Trump transition team member Becky Norton Dunlap believes Trump will take a new look at old Middle East problems.
I think that's one reason why people in Israel who have not liked the old way of doing things are hopeful and optimistic, because they at least see that in this new president, America is going to relook at some of these old problems.
Huckabee sees the failed two-state solution, the plan to give the Palestinians their own country side by side with Israel, as one old problem. Another one, the unwillingness to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. He expects David Friedman, Trump's choice for ambassador to Israel, will be part of addressing those changes.
I think he believes we need to stop the BDS movement, which is very hurtful, not just to Israelis, it's hurtful to the Arab population of Israel as well. I think he will lead in helping get the embassy moved, and I hope he will help to forever put an end to what I consider an unworkable, irrational policy of the so-called two-state solution that frankly both Democrats and Republicans have put forward.
The signal is we're going to take a new look at things, and we're putting someone in there who's not the same old, same old.
With his decisions so far, it's fair to say that the Middle East hasn't seen anything quite like Donald Trump. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, I think it's time to move that embassy, and the King of Jordan says, oh, it'll be a terrible tragedy. No, it won't. We'll just say, look, this is our embassy, and this is the capital of Israel. It's time we acknowledge what Jerusalem is, the capital of Israel. It's not some occupied settlement. It is the capital city of a nation. But with us now from Washington is retired Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. Jerry is a great warrior, head of Delta Force. He's one of the preeminent warriors of our history, and he's a former Deputy Undersecretary under George Bush, now Executive Vice President of the Family Research Program. General, it's a pleasure to have you back with us on the 700 Club. God bless you. How are you?
I'm well, and the last time I was on your program was election eve when we were able to celebrate together the victory of Donald Trump.
Well, it's taking shape. I mean, you know, as they say, elections have consequences. This one sure is. This is amazing. Let me ask you, you know, he's talking about rebuilding the number of ships in the Navy, rebuilding the Army, rebuilding the Air Force, and updating the equipment that they use. What is needed to be done? Is it as bad as we hear?
Oh, yes, it is, Pat. It's bad, and you know, I think the Navy has asked for 355 ships, and I think they're down at like 292 now. So there's a lot of shipbuilding that has to go on, and the Air Force is at the lowest number of airplanes since its creation in 1947. I think the biggest thing, though, is that Donald Trump has to appoint the right leadership. I think he's taken the first step with Jim Mattis, but you've got to appoint the right leadership that understands that the mission of our military is simply to win wars. And people who will focus on that have to go into these senior positions there.
Well, what do you think? I mean, he's got Mattis, he's got Flint, and he's got some other generals around him. I mean, Mattis would be in charge of the Defense Department. You think he knows? Does he have the warrior mentality? I think they call him Mad Dog.
Yeah. Of all the people he could have chosen, out of the current or retired general officer population, Jim Mattis is the guy that has the finest reputation for being a warrior. And that's what he is. They call him the warrior monk. He understands what the military's mission is, and I think that he will go about doing a very careful assessment of what the current condition of the military is, and then recommend to the president the changes that are necessary to restore readiness so that we can confront our enemies, we can be reliable for our allies, and we can win the wars if they come.
You know, Trump has beat up on some of these aerospace companies that they're overcharging, and some of these contracts are just obscene. And the aviation companies are backing up. They say, "Oh yeah, we can rejigger the numbers and get them down lower." What do you think? Are we spending too much on equipment?
That has been a systematic problem for probably 4 decades. In that, you know, we go into major productions on end items, and then we make modifications, we make changes, and of course these companies that are building these things, like airplanes and tanks and ships and so forth, then they charge us a lot more. I think that Trump has already taken a very good first step in his dealings with Boeing over Air Force One. You're going to see more of that, and I think we're going to get spending under control under a Trump administration.
Last question. What would you do about ISIS? Is ISIS really the main threat, or is it Russia or China? Well, we've got a bunch of threats out there, including North Korea and their nukes. What do you think?
Well, here's what I think about ISIS. I think that Donald Trump is not going to isolate his strategy to just ISIS. I think he's going to look at this as a global problem. He's going to look at it as global jihad. Ultimately, the objective is to establish a global caliphate. And I think he's going to demand that Jim Mattis come up with a strategy that will cover the globe, not just the Middle East, not just Syria and Iraq, and not just going after ISIS. I think he's going to go after the global jihad movement, and there'll be a strategy that will be well thought out and executable to do that.
You know, General, the ISIS is just a little pipsqueak organization with a few thousand people, and yet they have twisted the tail of the United States of America. Can't we put some troops in there and some military assets and just wipe them out?
Could we?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I don't think we could. And the reason is because there's an ideology associated with this. I mean, you can kill all of the ones that are currently on the battlefield, but more are going to come up. What you have to do is you have to have a comprehensive plan that includes an information strategy, that includes the elements of national power that the United States can bring to bear on this. We've got to rally our allies. We've got to make them know that we're reliable allies, and that if they'll stand with us, share intelligence with us, fight with us, that we're going to be there when they need us. And I think that's all part of defeating them. But I think that just thinking that we can go out and kill them all on the battlefield is probably not going to be successful.
General Boykin, it's always a joy to have you. Thank you so much. And God bless you, and happy inauguration.
God bless you, Pat.
All right.
Thank you.